Hello everybody, this is Module 5, Lesson 7. This is the first part of Topic B. The objective that we're going to work on today is being able to use area models and multiplication to show the equivalence of two different fractions. So, one of the things that you need to remember that anything times 1 is itself. So, let's say we have 345 times 1. That equals 345. So if we have 2/3 times 1, that's going to equal 2/3. But we can write 1 as anything over itself. So 1 can be represented as 4/4. It's still 1. So if we multiply 2/3 times 4/4, we end up with 8/12. 2/3 and 8/12 are equivalent. Okay, so to show that, if we have 2/3, this is where the area model comes in. So we're shading in 2/3. Now we need to separate that. Now we need to separate that into 12ths. So if I have 3 columns, how many rows do I need to have? 3 times 4 is 12. So in order to make 12 boxes, I need to have 4 rows of 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So now there's 12. The 2/3 is equal to 8/12. And since we split it 4 ways this way, we can say that 2/3 times 4/4. Sometimes they're writing it like this. Okay. So we have 2/3 times 4/4 equals 8/12. Or we can say 8/12 is equal to 2/4 times 3/4. Or really this would be 2/3 equals 2 times 4 over 3 times 4. The 4/4 is 1. Equals 2 times 4 is 8. 3 times 4 is 12. So we have 8/12. When we multiply fractions, we multiply both the numerator and the denominator straight across. Okay, so let's go on to the problem set. These require a little less writing than the previous problem sets, but a little more comprehension of what we're doing. Okay, so here the first one's been done for you. It says each rectangle represents 1. So all of these rectangles are one whole. The shaded unit fraction has been decomposed into smaller units. So it started off with 1/2 and it was decomposed into 4ths. Express the equivalent fraction in a number sentence using multiplication. The first one's been done for you. So this is where, since they split the box into 2 rows, they multiplied by 2/2. So they started with 1/2, and then they split it in half, so they multiplied by 2/2. 1/2 equals 1/12 times 2/2 equals, 1/2 times 2/2, or 1 times 2 is 2, and 2 times 2 is 4, 2/4. And that's what this shows, 2/4. So if we go over to this one, our original fraction is still 1/2. But this time, we divided it into 3s. So that equals 1/2 times 3 over 3, which equals 3 over 6. Now they wrote it as one fraction like this. It's the same. I see this as being 1 easier than I see this. Okay. So we're multiplying by 1, it becomes the same. So 1/2 is equivalent to 3/6. Okay, so now, if we look at this one, we have, again, 1/2. And what are we multiplying by? Well, we split it into 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. So 1/2 times 4 over 4 equals 8. I'm sorry. 1 times 4 is 4, so we should have 4 shaded. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the total number of boxes, 2 times 4, is 8. So 1/2 equals 4/8. Okay, now if we go to letter D, see if you can try that on your own. Go ahead and pause the video and try it on your own, and when you come back, I'll walk you through it. Okay, so we started with 1/2 again, same thing. This time we divided it into how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to multiply by 5 over 5, which equals 5 times 1 is 5, 2 times 5 is 10. So 1/2 is equal to 5 over 10. All right, let's look at the back side. So number 2 says decompose the shaded fractions into smaller units using area models. Express the equivalent fractions in a number sentence. These can be different. I'm going to do them differently. So the first one I'm going to break into 1/2 halves, into 2s. So that ends up breaking my fractional unit, which was 1/4, into 8s. So I'm going to multiply 1/4 times, I made 1/4 into 2s, 2 over 2 equals 2 over 8. Over here, I'm going to do it into 3. So now what do I have? Well, I started with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1/5 is what I started with. Oops. Now I'm going to multiply by 3 over 3 because I made 3 rows to split that up into 15 boxes. 5 times 3 is 15. So there should be 15 boxes. 3 times 1 is 3. That's how many are shaded. So 1/5 equals 3/15. I'm going to let you do C and D on your own. You're going to start C off with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1/6. And then you're going to multiply it by however many rows that you decide to put in there. I wouldn't do more than 4 or 5. Over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is 1/7 times however many rows. Whatever you do to the top number, you have to do to the bottom number. That is the rule in fractions when we're multiplying. Whatever you multiply the top number by, you do to the bottom number to make it equivalent fractions. So down here it says, what happened to the size of fractional units when you decompose the fraction? So if I decompose this, what happened to the size of my fraction? Right, it got smaller. And then what happened to the total number of units in the whole when you decompose the fraction? Well, there became more. The total number of units in this one, so there are more. So the total number of units in this one was 6, and we made it into 12ths. Or I made it into 12ths. She may have made it into something else. Okay, we're going to look at the next page. This is basically what your exit ticket is going to look like tomorrow. It says draw 3 different area models to represent 1/3 by shading. Okay. 3 different area models. They're all going to be 1/3. According to the directions, we're making 3 area models that are 1/3 for A, B, and C. Okay. Shrink that just a little bit so you can see it a little better. Alright, so the first one on A, we're going to decompose A into 6ths. Okay. B, we're going to decompose it into 9ths. And C, we're going to decompose it into 12ths. Because that's what the directions say. And then we're going to use multiplication to show how each fraction is equivalent to 1/3. So first we're shading a third in each one. Your exit ticket tomorrow is very similar to this, but it's fourths, not thirds. You'll figure it out. So the first one I'm going to do into 6ths. So I have 3, so I only need 1 line to make it into 6ths. So 1/3 equals, or 1/3 times 2/2 equals 2/6. Here, I'm going to divide it into 9ths. That means I need to divide it into 3 rows. 1, 2, 3. I still start with 3/3, but since I made 3 rows, I'm going to multiply by 3/3, and I get 3 times 1 is 3, 3 times 3 is 9. So I have 3/9 shaded. Equivalent. And on the bottom one, 12ths. Well, I have 3, so I need to make 4 rows. 4 times 3 is 12. So if we have 3, we need to make 4 rows to make it 12 boxes. So we can say 1/3 times 4/4 equals 4/12. And that's what's shaded. Okay. Remember, this is always equal to 1. Whenever you multiply by 1, you get the same thing. In order to do equivalent fractions, whatever you do to the top number, you do to the bottom number. So if you multiply this by 1, if you multiply this by 2, you multiply this by 2. If you multiply it by 3, you multiply this by 3. If you multiply this by 4, you multiply this by 4. So all of these fractions here, 1/3 is equal to 2/6, there goes the lights, which is equal to 4/12, which is equal to, 3/9, and which is equal to 4/12. They're all equal. 1/3, 2/6, 3/9, and 4/12 are all equal. All right, well that's it for today. Finish up anything you haven't finished up on your problem set and bring it in tomorrow. See you later.